Hello everyone, welcome back to the Stack Podcast. It's a jolly old tea time here in Quensleydale, England. We're here in our recording studio, the Stacked Plex. I'm here with my Cheerio friends. We have Chris Lee. How you doing today? Good morrow to you, Chris. How goes it over down there in Wensleydale?
I can't do the accent on purpose. Hello. I'm Chris.
And joining us today, of course, is our big tall fellow, Mr. Brandon Winchester, coming from Dublin.
So now you gotta do an Irish accent. Actually, you're not gonna be British, you're Irish.
From all the way from Dublin. Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
That's not British.
You didn't give me an opportunity. You just said you're gonna
Then
be Irish.
go.
You
Then
threw me
go.
to Irish
I said British the whole time. Go.
Hoity-toity, welcome to... I don't know.
What the fuck was that? Welcome to Dracula's. You did like fucking Dracula. Hoity-toity, blah. Welcome to Ireland. Don't you know? Come
Yeah,
on,
I could
Brendan,
do. I
you're
was
from
preparing
Belfast.
for a British accent, to be honest.
To be completely honest, you gotta talk like that girl from the AMC Universal City Walk, our cashier. For some reason,
Well,
there's an
don't
Irish
you know?
person working.
Oh yeah, the
Uh,
Irish person at Universal.
I just want to keep everyone aware and safe out there. There is an Irish person working at the Universal City Walk.
Beware.
I made it sound like I was like a public PSA. Like, everyone, keep your eyes out, stay safe out there. There's an Irish person who works there. No, we love the Irish people, don't we? We don't like the British people, but the Irish are okay.
I like the British people.
Why? Tell us why. Why do you like British
Doctor Who, frankly. They got good history.
people? That's it?
No, I think they've got a good history that's very interesting.
A good history?
A good history is a
of,
way to
of
put it.
imperialism and
Hey, Chris,
genocide?
I know this is a sore subject for the citizens of Hong Kong, but I gotta say, westernization
But I gotta say,
pretty good, huh?
England was right, baby. But I gotta say, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Okay, I'm leaving it at that.
We saw
I'm just
RR.
leaving it at that, okay? That's my hot take. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Just leave me alone to my own opinion, okay? Alright, we're not talking about fucking British movies today. We're talking about, magic movies. The movie Magics. This is Stacked episode 86. I don't think I ever said that. But we're talking about magic movies. Because when this episode comes out, George Washington's George Laird's George Hamilton.
You mean George Miller?
George Miller.
There you go.
He has a movie coming out about magic and genies and wishes. It's called the Genie's Lamp of 1,000 Years.
No, it's 3,000. 3,000 years of longing.
Of longing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Fucking pathetic.
Simpy,
Anyways.
you know. know
Yeah,
what I'm
fucking
saying.
simpy behavior. Grow up. Anyways, yeah, so looks like that movie's gonna be like a, what do you call that? Like a web of stories? Or no, it's not even that. It's like a anthology movie. It's like gonna tell 3 different stories about this genie, about the wishes he once gave, or something like that. Anyways, it's about wishes and genies and magic. So we're gonna be talking about movies with magic in them. And we left this term pretty vague, I think, because I wanted to see what you guys came up with. So, Chris, why don't you start out, explain to our dear listeners what you came up with for magic movies.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm known among the bunch for my outlandish picks at times, needless to say. And with this one, I honestly, like, what I did was I wanted to break down what magical movies means, because I feel like there's a billion ways to interpret that. So my first pick was like my more mystical magic, you know, that whimsy kind of thing that you're classic wizard spells, potions kind of thing, you know. Secondly, I want to do a magical realism film. Just because like that's a very like I think that's one of my favorite genres of film because I think there's just so much you can run with in that world. And lastly, I want to do like some kind of the only thing I can label it as like emotional magic, and I'll explain what that means when I get to it. But yeah, I want to just kind of get like a bit of a variety. I don't know if my picks are all that, like all that significant in terms of something like suggesting something that's really out there or anything like that. But I do think I've picked movies that are very I don't know, like I feel like I've covered the fundamentals, I would say.
And Ethan, you're muted.
I was muted because I realized I still had my secondary fan on, so apologies for that in the intro if you hear some noise. So I had to go mute myself to turn off the fan. Anyways, I was gonna say we like that. Those are good reasoning. That's not as what I did. I think I took 3 films, from 3 different countries. Believe it or not, I wanted to go a bit more worldwide, to sort of capture the synecdoches of magic, and imageries. Shout out to my father. He wanted me to use the word synecdoche in the podcast today. He called me to tell me that. So there, Dad, I used it. Sort of just like what imagery, the quintessential imagery of magic, comes to mind when I think of magic. And I think these 3 films from around the world capture it. So as I share my picks, I'll be sharing like what country each one comes from and how that shows off magic. So that's what I did. Brandon, what about you, dude? Like what the hell's going on? Like what the fuck's going on over there, bro? Like you blue t-shirt and Arizona flag. Like what the hell, bro? What is happening right now?
You know, we're doing stuff. We're planning stuff. I'm doing one that includes a wish because that's very magical based. I'm doing one that includes a curse, which is magical based.
Oh, interesting.
Because magic can be bad too. And then I'm doing a magical adventure that involves magic, but nothing like wishes and stuff like that. It's just like it involves like the magical, fantastical realm.
I like that.
Yeah, because I didn't want to just go with like, oh, I just want to do wish movies or I want to do wizard movies. I want to mix it up.
Yeah, Brandon, I want you to cast the spell right now.
Avada Kedavra. Dead. Ethan knew I was aiming for him. He's dead. He's gone.
He's dead. Oh, and the glasses are on, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm glad the glasses are on because you're gonna be up first. But before we do that, of course.
Oh, the old
I haven't done this in a while. I have to run down the old rules of the show. So
do your young Sheldon pose first. Yeah, there you go.
If for all you listeners, I was adjusting my bow tie while looking smug as hell. Just look up Young Sheldon and you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, the rules of the show. Once a week, we state a topic or theme and go our separate ways to construct our own 3 film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate decision what quintessential 3 film stack we are checking out of this hypothetical video store. Those rules aren't entirely true because now we just we pick the topic like the day of we record, but you guys didn't need to know that. I just thought I'd share the little behind the scenes.
Stop exposing the magic.
Exposing the secrets. But we've probably been doing that for the past 4 months. Anyways, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Are you getting surgery on your forehead and you need to draw the line?
What are you
surgery?
Oh, I see what's going on. All right, I see what's going on. You scringly pingus. All right, share us with your first film. I think I have a good idea. What's going on there?
All right, Chris, tell us about your old jolly old first film, will you?
I wanted to do for my mystical magic pick. I thought, okay, what really spurred me to do this was I realized we had never, we've maybe mentioned, but we've never final stacked a Harry Potter film before.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be good to choose one of those. So I'm choosing the surprisingly mediocre Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Why would you choose that one, Chris?
Okay, I will explain why I chose that one over the other ones because there are better ones.
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, the reason I chose that one is because I think this movie is all world building, and that's the best. Not only is that the best part of this movie, but I think it does such a good job of explaining this world and exploring it and getting us excited about it. I don't think this movie's all that amazing on a story, theme, or anything like craft level outside of the world building, but I do think it does a really good job of introducing us into like the wizarding world, as they call it, of Harry Potter. Yeah, it's directed by Chris Columbus from 2001. There's not much to say about this movie that everybody doesn't already know. I mean, it's the first Harry Potter movie; everybody knows it. But yeah, one thing I will say that I do really like about this movie is, you know how like throughout the Harry Potter franchise, like step by step, they start to get darker and darker and like age with the characters. I really like this one in the sense that it really does have. I think it really captures that sense of like whimsy, you know, that like magic does tend to bring. Because I feel like magic can definitely be a really dark thing, but also can be a very light and fun, whimsical thing. And yeah, I felt like it would be a little weird to not have a Harry Potter movie get mentioned here because those and maybe Lord of the Rings are pretty pivotal in the world of magic for cinema. But yeah, I thought someone had to pick it, and I had a feeling it would be me because Ethan, I know you hate British people, and Brandon, I feel like this is just too obvious for you, and you wouldn't want to pick one of these. So I figured I'll take it. But then again, maybe I don't know if you're gonna pick one in a bit. But yeah, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It's a relatively generic Harry Potter movie, but it does set up the world, and that's what I'm here for. So yeah.
All right. I can hear myself in Chris's fucking thing.
Yeah, let me try.
Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you Brand, you can hear that too, right?
Let me check something.
What's going on?
Input, Yeti, output.
Pause! Time out!
Is this any better?
Brandon, time out! Time out!
Wait, can you hear me, guys? Is this better?
Let me see. I think we're good. Okay, anyways. I think that while I do not like Harry Potter, specifically the first two movies in the franchise, directed by Chris Columbus, I think outside of John Williams' wondrous score and some visuals, I think the movies are pretty boring and mediocre. I think it's a case of world building over substance in these stories. The first two Harry Potters. But if you're picking a Harry Potter movie based purely off encapsulating the magic of it all, I think this is the correct one to pick because it is the beginning of the hero's journey. It's an introduction to this world, you know, you're being introduced to this world of magic. And after this movie, magic is sort of just, it's not as special as it is in the first movie, you know? Which I appreciate from that standpoint of choosing this movie. I'm not mad that this is being talked about in the podcast, even though I'm not a fan of this film. I think it is an appropriate choice, and I agree that it is, in fact, while I don't like it, a quintessential magic movie because I think, like it or not, Harry Potter has like defined sorcery and wizardry and spell casting in the modern time. Wouldn't you guys agree with me?
I do. I mean, I picked it. How about you, Brandon? What do you think of Harry Potter?
Okay, I don't need the sass,
Sorry,
Brandon.
Sorry,
I'm trying to create a conversation here. Brandon, what about you? What do you think, Sleepy Joe? What are you doing with your fucking mask on?
I think this is the second or third best choice for magic movies in terms of magic in the Harry Potter movies. Because I feel like there's a better showcase of like the world around the magic in the following installments, especially in the fourth film, which I was going to choose but it was my 4th or 5th pick. It didn't quite make it in.
I will say.
Is that
no,
your
you're
favorite
right.
one?
Yeah.
What's everybody's favorite one of the franchise?
4 or
Ask
7
him.
part 2.
Mine's basic. It's the third one. It's the go-to.
Mine too. It's the go-to, and because it's just Karan, he kills it.
Yeah.
Makes a bad franchise actually a good movie. Anyways, what were you saying?
I just think I feel like that one has like a better showcase of like the magic dark side and light side, and
I see.
also
No, I can see that. I think
Also-
the fourth is when like the tone of the movies really does start. You notice the shift a lot more.
yeah,
And like you're right, like the darkness of that movie. I mean, the grave scene at the end of that one and all that, like the
Yeah.
dragons and everything. Yeah, it's great.
right. You
No,
get
I
a sense,
see what you're
yeah,
saying.
you get a bigger sense of the world. There's more spells, and like when you're first introduced to Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is. I agree that it is like you're doing a lot of world building, so you're learning all of the magical stuff, and in that sense, it could definitely be the quintessential magic movie. But in terms of quality, I recently rewatched the first two, or attempted. I watched the first one. I didn't get through the second one, and I gotta say, it does not live up as much as it did when I was a kid. Not saying that they're bad movies. I just think they're just like kind
That's
of
fair.
mid. But the later ones, I think, will stand up to time. Maybe that's me.
Yeah.
Mm.
I still want to finish my rewatch. I only watched the first two. I want to go through them and see what I truly feel. Because for those listeners out there, little confession about me: I haven't seen the 6th Harry Potter film, and I haven't seen the very last one. I haven't seen the 6th or the 8th one. I have seen the 7th one, but not those two, which frustrates Chris and Brandon to no end. For me skipping one and then watching one with the biggest cliffhanger that leads to the finale and just being like, nah, I'm good. Just not watching.
Well, part 2 is amazing.
Yeah, part 2 is good.
It's like one of the better
Yeah.
teen movies. You know, if it's like
I just mean when Dobby died, I was like, bro, I'm out.
he's
Like,
only in
that-
2 movies.
He was, I know, and he was my stake in the game. Like that was the dude I followed. Like, and once he was out, I was out. You know, like fuck. Anyways, all right, good pick, Chris. I think a necessary pick for this discussion.
Agreed.
For how much it's done to magic in cinema.
Agreed.
All right, I'm going next with my first pick. It is a Swedish film. That sort of encapsulates witchcraft and magic in the Middle Ages. This movie comes from the year 1922. It is one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen. It is called Haxon, Witchcraft Through the Ages. Neither of you two have seen this movie, but I highly recommend you check it out. It's sort of like, just like George Miller's, 3,000 Years of Longing. It's like sort of an anthology movie where it has a bunch of different plots after another, that follows just witchcraft from the early medieval ages through the Middle Ages. And this movie, for being from 1922, is impressive as fuck. And I think only ages better because of it actually aging. It's kind of like Nosferatu in that way. I think we talked about this when we talked about the first 1922 Nosferatu, where we're like, that movie actually gets cooler the older it gets because like its wear and tear on it makes it all the more eerie, you
Yeah.
know? If you look at images from this film, the makeup and the costuming and like effects are absolutely insane. The way they like make these witches and demons look for a
Whoa.
film in 1922.
I think I've
Yeah,
seen,
you looking
I
at
think
this
I've,
shit?
I think I've seen one of the scenes from this movie, but yeah, jeez.
Yeah, these demons are fucking terrifying, bro. And I just remember I watched this last year in July where I wanted to only watch films that month that came out before the year 1959. I just wanted to watch only old classic movies, and this was the first one I watched because I was just so enticed by just its visuals, and
Yeah.
it left me with quite an impression. I don't think there's enough substance for me to call it a truly great film because it is so scattered and it's multiple plots, and set pieces. But like the images and the visceral image, images that it creates through these witches summoning these demons through witchcraft and magic, is really cool. And I think it needs to be a bigger part of cinema history because we did talk about this movie in film school, I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about, just like how like early filmmakers sort of delve into archaic magic and stuff like that because their medium was already kind of dark and hard to work with in the first place. It sort of supports this eerie sense of filmmaking. And if you haven't seen Hexon, I highly recommend it. I think it's a pretty good film. What do you guys think about this? Have you ever heard about this film, Brandon? You're raising your hand.
I think, I think I've seen like images from the movie. It's in my book, which is 1001 Movies to See Before You Die. I just haven't seen it yet,
Mm-hmm.
And I've wanted to check it out for a while. It's a documentary dash like horror, like because like the way it's depicted, it's like it's not like nothing's true in it, right? But like it's the depiction of like these like I don't know, the way it was framed in the book was like that it was like a documentary type beat, even though it's not a documentary, and that if it's just terrifying images and like playing into folklore and like visualizing that on film and silent film especially, it sounds interesting. I think it's on the Criterion channel.
Yeah, that's how
so I might have to check it out. Magical, definitely the dark side of things. I don't know if there's any spells, but I would assume since that's how Ethan defined this, that there are spells in it.
I mean, witches summoning demons, that has to be with a spell, bro. Like that's how like what do they call them? Runes, incantations,
And that's why I'm picking
hexes.
Just kidding.
I mean, you could have if you wanted to. Chris, what do you think about this movie? Ever heard about it?
I've definitely seen images because I searched it up and it looks very like familiar, but I've never personally seen the movie itself. It is on HBO Max apparently. A horror documentary. But yeah, this looks really dope. Like you said, Ethan, I do really admire like the level of production design and costuming that went into this. The effects look really dope too. And yeah, like what you said about like how the aesthetic of this film has like kind of ingrained itself into the 1920s, and because of that has kind of been almost like an archived piece of like cinema history is like the images in this and like the tone and texture of these kinds of movies. Yeah, as they get older, there is, like you said, there is something to these movies that they kind of stick with you in a weird way because tones, tastes, audience taste especially transitions. So all the more these movies start to stand out. And yeah, definitely see why you would pick this.
Well, all right. I'm glad you guys are now more aware of this and hope you check it out. Brandon, what is your first magic film?
My first magic film. I'm gonna pick a witch movie.
What was that? Is that your Justin's Elmo impression? Was that what you were doing?
I'm Elmo. I'm picking my first movie. It's gonna be on a wish, like the wishes. I'm picking Big.
Big?
With Tom Hanks.
Big.
Big. Very simple coming of age movie. Who directed this? I think it was Penny Marshall.
I think it was Big.
Yeah.
The cat from Sonic.
No. Oh boy, that's so sad.
What?
So Big is for anybody who doesn't know, it's a coming of age movie where Tom Hanks's character, played by, I don't know, there's this kid, basically wishes to be an adult after having a humiliating night on the town with a girl, where he's short, he's not old enough to do anything, he's kind of in those awkward tween years, and he wishes to be big, and the next morning he wakes up and he's an adult, a fully grown adult, but it's like, because he asked a Zoltar machine, one of those things that you see at the pier.
Those things used to creep me out.
Yeah, and it's like, it's creepy and magical, but like, what if one of those could actually grant wishes? My dad always would show me this movie growing up. Like it was a staple in our household. We were like, "You want to watch Big?" And it was one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies. Probably still is. And it's a magical movie because the magic is simple. You know, it's only one wish, and it's an overnight sort of thing that like changes his life. And you kind of see him grapple with the consequences and the benefits of his wish, you know, because obviously it's the be careful what you wish for sort of thing that you see in these wish movies, but also it does present the character with something he's actually like interested in and like can learn from. And I really find it to be a beautiful movie and very heartwarming. But yeah, very magical movie, but also very simple, laid back.
No, yeah, I'm looking at it. Like, I've definitely heard this movie before. I think, like, I remember, I think Joey's a big fan of this movie. Big fan of this movie.
Big fan.
This
He
is the
loves
movie
it.
with the iconic piano scene, right? Like, with the feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that. But, yeah, this looks really cool. I really like these, like, very, like, you know, these very classical, like, very, like, I don't know, there's something about these 80s movies that have that very, like, innocent bliss kind of feeling to it, and I really like that. And I think applying that to this story does work really well. I love the idea of, like, using that wish as, like, what's the word, like, a vessel for a story about, like, growing up and what that really means and whether or not that's what you think it is and all that stuff. Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. I just added it to my watch list. I'd definitely like to check this out sometime. It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm on board with it.
I too have not seen this film, but I know it is an absolute classic. The piano scene is all I can really think of, and I know the fucking what is it called? As you say, it was like Zoltar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
And I know a woman kisses a child in it. So I guess I won't be watching this film after all.
You should watch Blank Check, Ethan.
That movie's
Yeah?
fucked up.
Is that movie sick and twisted, fucked in the head, a little bit sadistic,
yeah.
crazy?
Oh, kind of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie. It's one of my biggest 80s blind spots, I would feel, when it comes to like popular film. That's all I can really say about it. You know, I feel like it is a wish that every kid always thought of. They're like, "Oh man, I wish I was just an adult." You know, one of my favorite spins on this is the you guys remember that one episode of Fairly Odd Parents where Timmy wishes he was an adult? Do you remember that episode? And he becomes like this disgusting middle-aged man. That had an effect on me. You know, that fucking scared me because I was like, oh fuck, that's probably what's gonna happen to me, dude. Like, and look at me now, taking care of myself. Anyways, yeah, good pick. All right, cool. That is our first round of picks. Chris, you want to kick us off into the second round with your second magic film?
Yeah, this one was my magical realism pick. I had a lot of options that I wanted to go with, but I wanted to go with something that I am amazed that has not been final stacked yet, because we all love this film. We all especially love this director, regardless of whether or not we love some of his movies or not. We are all big fans of this movie. We watched it in, I believe, Film Aesthetics at one point. It is a 2006 film directed by none other than Guillermo del Toro himself. I'm picking Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth. This is a good magic film.
Yeah. I wanted to pick this one because I never really became conscious of magical realism as a genre until we started studying it in college. And I think it's really dope. I think this movie does such a great job of bridging that magical world with this story about, I believe, is it the Spanish Inquisition? I don't know if I'm using the wrong historical event.
It is the Spanish Civil War.
Civil War.
That is
right.
what.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the way they handled this. I think like the brutality of this movie counters the magical side of it really, really amazingly. There's something very I love Del Toro's sense for like dark magic because the guy's a big horror fan, but also like a big like but like we all know that the guy in real life seems like the biggest like whimsical teddy bear you'll ever meet in your life. So I feel like his movies speak to him as well, like as a person and not just as a filmmaker. What else is there to say about this movie? I mean, like the scene with what's the name of that creature with the hands? You know what I'm saying?
That is that's the Pale Man.
The Pale Man.
Played by Doug.
That is Doug Jones.
Yes.
No, that is him. He is not wearing any makeup.
That's what he looks like when he takes off
that's just him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hollywood can be cruel. Does a number on people sometimes.
But that scared the shit out of me when I first saw it. And the fawn is still one of my favorite like magical creatures in all of film. I think that thing is gorgeous. Yeah, I love it. I think it's a fantastic movie. One of my favorite Del Toro's for sure. I thought about picking Shape of Water instead, but we did choose that for, I believe, romantic movies. Maybe not romantic.
No, I think monster movies.
Monster movies. Yeah, we did monster movies for that one. But yeah, I love Pan's Labyrinth. I know you guys do too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, very, very special film, and it was such a great privilege to watch this in the MKS theater, because just like that was my first time ever seeing the film, actually was that day, and seeing that on the big screen for the first time was absolutely magical, if you will. But I think this Del Toro film, this is Del Toro's most magical film. Like, I can see where you're getting at with Shape of Water, but I feel like there's an explicit sense of magical wonderment, Yeah,
there's like the little fairy and all that stuff,
And just the way he sort of eases us into the magic and everything, and sort of still has us questioning, like, is this real? Like, do we know if this is just this girl like imagining? But also that can also just be a narrative of the magic of a child's imagination, But then of course we're sort of revealed at the end when, spoilers, she and then transcends to, what is it, the King of the Moon or something like that, the Moon King, like she's the princess of that. Anyways, we're sort of seeing like, whoa, this all really happened. It's all real. But just like the way he sort of turns sort of imagery of magic on its head in this film, where we have, we sort of think of like the fawn as like, like that bloke from fucking Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, played by James McAvoy. We sort of think of like looking like that, but instead it's like this kind of creepy creature, like tree man thing. And then like the fairies in this movie, they're not like Tinkerbell, they're like bugs, like they're like these mystical like bug creatures, and we're just like, whoa, it's such a unique and like twist on what we see as like images of magic, that we've been prone to sort of recognize through other media. And I think this is like, it was such a cool and unique way to take, I think what Del Toro does best is take classic fairy tale, like take the wonderment of a classic fairy tale, but add his own little horror twist to it, add that darker, more rich side of horror and put it into these like wholesome messages, which I think is just like, it's so endearing, and I think Pan's Labyrinth is a great film. It's not my favorite Del Toro. I think Shape of Water and Pacific Rim sort of go a bit over it, but great film nonetheless. Brandon, what do you think about it?
Like you've said, it kind of is like a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe type thing, where you're escorted into a different realm, and that's the magic that there is in the movie, where not only are you running into these fantastical creatures with magical abilities, but you also have like other realms that are not human, like traditionally human, I guess, to access. And there's a certain like original flavor that is like a whimsical horror movie like this. Because even though you may be disgusted by the Pale Man or the frog that she has to retrieve I think a key from,
The big
or
stinky frog.
yeah, or like that, you know, you still have a lot of like equally as beautiful moments, like whether that be like the hauntingness of the score. I honestly think like Del Toro probably took a lot of inspiration from Miyazaki's early work too. I don't know about
yeah.
you. Like with his like connection to nature and that magical realm.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Miyazaki's works, like he always paints nature as magical, even if it's nothing like magical, like the traditional form of magic that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I think Shape of Water is my favorite Del Toro by far.
Yeah.
And then this is like a distant second or third. I like this more than Pacific Rim though.
Okay. I get that. No, I feel like those are the big three top, like those are the ones who occupy everyone's top three. Maybe throw in his earlier ones.
No,
his
Nightmare
earlier
Alley
two.
is better than Pacific Rim.
Oh. Well, okay then. That one is just, it's such a unique Del Toro film, you know? I don't really.
Why do I like it?
It's a great film. It's a great film. Okay. Brandon. Boy, am I glad you brought up Hayao Miyazaki, talking about old Del Toro, because well,
no, you
just
go first.
It just so happens to be. It just so happens to be that my next pick is from that old bloke Miyazaki, that old cigarette smoking nihilist motherfucker who makes beautiful films.
Yeah, let me just stop you right now. We don't care.
Okay, I'm picking Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay, we do care. We
We
Good
do
choice.
care. Yeah. And we love that one. We really love that one, don't we? The castle, it has legs and it goes around. And there's a turnip, he's on a stick. Where does he go? No one knows. But now the kid is old. The kid is old. She, she's doing the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm trying to get younger. She got old. But we don't know. Anyways, Howl's Moving Castle, 2004, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. I think I tried my damnedest to put a Miyazaki film because I think his, like you were saying, Brandon, his sort of idea of magic is unparalleled. You can see it throughout all of his films. I'm talking Ponyo. I'm talking, which Chris just watched for the first time. Thanks to Angelica, who's listening here live on the show. That's right. I just called her out. She's here. She's listening.
Shout out.
What else? What else is there magic? The Cat Returns. He didn't fucking direct that one. Never mind. Spirit. I really wanted to pick Spirited Away. I think that one's the best one when it comes to magic. But we've already final stacked that one. But we haven't even talked about Howl's Moving Castle yet, which is fucking crazy. So I'm talking about it now because this movie. I mean, the world is all about witches and wizards, and sort of. I love how. I mean, this wasn't his idea. This is based on a book, not written by someone. I forgot her name. But he takes this world of like how these two armies are using wizards and witches and warlocks and stuff to fight wars. Like that becomes like the new weaponry in warfare. Which is such a unique twist that you don't really see in films, you see sort of magic implemented into like realist topics. The only one I can think of is like fucking Bright, by that one shitty Will Smith movie, where it's there's cops and like ogres and fairies and shit, but it's in like fucking LA. Anyways, I just think the way magic is twisted in this world is so cool. How it's used for warfare, and it's telling an anti-war story in that sense. It kind of like Pan's Labyrinth, I think.
No, I see that.
I just love the magic in this film, where you see the scarecrow, the curses, the house coming to life. We have Calcifer, and just all the different rooms. I wish I could have like that door where it just like you can just like switch to where it wants to go, and when you open it you're in a completely new location. I love that stuff. I think the score is beautiful. The love story I think is really touching. It's not like a heavy-handed love story. it's what I love most about Miyazaki and how he depicts love is he uses love to show that love makes two people grow to be better, and more well-minded people. You know, it's not like they have a need for each other, but their love makes each other stronger individually, which I think is just so beautiful because Miyazaki does that in all of his films. Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle. Have we all seen this one? We've all seen this one,
Yeah.
right, folks? We've all watched this one.
I think so. Yeah.
Chris, what do you think about
Yeah.
Howl's Moving Castle?
I haven't seen this movie since I was like maybe I want to say 8 or 9. So it's been a long, long time. I don't even remember if I saw the dub or sub because Ethan, you told me that Christian Bale voices Howl, right?
He does, and I just rewatched the dub. I only watched the dub when I was a kid, and I gotta say the dub's not that good, even though Christian Bale's in it. I think if you want to watch this film again, Chris, go for the sub.
Yeah.
The dub is better.
The dub is better.
Yeah.
Mm.
You were just that was surprising. You were like nodding at me while I was saying, and then you just said the dub is better. Do you mean the sub is better?
No, the dub is better.
Why do you think that?
I've always.
Yeah, no. Tell me why you think that. Sorry.
I've always thought that it gave. I don't know. I like the personality of the dub more than I like of the sub. You know, it's not like the Grave of the Fireflies dub, which is like much worse than the original product.
Or I think the Ponyo dub's pretty bad too.
It's annoying, personally, but that's just me. But I think they're like interchangeable. Honestly, I think Howl's is one of the better dubs from Studio Ghibli. So I don't know. I really like this film too. I think it does capture the magic of like a giant free roaming world because often, like you see in like something like Big, one of my pick, or in it that's like a smaller like self-contained case of magic, and with Chris's it's like a whole world, a whole different world. But as you said, it's kind of interspersed with the human realm in it, and I really enjoy that, and like how it showcases like aging and like what is it, transmodification or transformation, or what's it called when people like
Transfiguration
are able to change their shape, or like what do vampires like? What are they like? What's
when they
that
turn to
process?
Bats, is that what you mean?
Like a change,
Yeah.
like a changeling.
Is it transfiguration?
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and like that, seeing that play out is nice, and like living like not living beings, but you know they're living in that sense. Like Billy Crystal's Fire Ember character is
That's
really
true.
great.
Like you, I don't think the main character and Christian Bale did that good, but Billy Crystal's Calcifer is like phenomenal. Sorry, Chris, we interrupted you talking about sub versus dub. Is there anything else you want to say about
Honestly,
Castle?
Because I would love to, but I hardly remember this movie because I haven't seen it since I was like 9. So it's been over like 12 years. I do remember like I don't know, like this is honest. In all honesty, this is one of the ones that did not stick with me as much as the others because I remember Spirited and Totoro, and of course Grave of the Fireflies really stuck with me when I first saw them. But this one, like, honestly kind of flew under my radar. Really, the only thing I remember about this movie are the characters and the world. But I honestly remember very little of its plot. So, yeah. But I will say the magical world that they create in this movie is honestly one of the better ones. I really like the world building of this one. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I should revisit this soon. Yeah.
Well, I definitely recommend it. Brandon, any thoughts on Howl's Moving Castle before you take us to your next film, or you just want to get right into your next pick?
I would like to get right into it. I think I've said my piece. Howl's Moving Castle
Let's
is
go for it.
really good. Beauty and the Beast, Curse movie.
Oh.
Oh.
Fair.
The tale is old.
He knows what I'm doing, man. Yeah.
Be my guest. Be the guest. It's that guest.
Yeah, that's
eat
it.
The chicken breast.
All right, shut up. Shut up.
Sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Are you
Beauty and
the animated one, right, or the live action? Animated.
The animated
obviously.
one.
Come on, Brandon
Yeah,
loves the
91.
live action one.
I do love both.
He does.
You
He loves
do?
both. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah. I think the animated one is better. I think they hit gold. They didn't need to remake it, but the fact that they did and got a great cast is another thing altogether. But I think what makes this such a magical movie is I feel like you have to pick something from a Disney product of some sort, because when I think magic, I think they're the only people who practice like modern film magic. You know what I mean? Like Harry Potter's kind of aged out. You've seen that with the box office from the Fantastic Beasts
To this day,
movies.
they still do the magic thing.
Yeah, and they're still doing it. Either if it's like magical science fiction or just magical fantasy,
Like
they're the only ones
Encanto.
doing it. Yeah, exactly. And we don't love that movie, folks, but
I
But,
don't prefer it for Encanto. I think it's kind of silly that everyone has a room, and when she opens the door, she doesn't really get anything from it. And I think it's honestly pathetic.
I also think that's crazy that they get their powers back, but anyway. But Beauty and the
Hope Sasha's
Beast
not
is
listening to this episode.
yeah, hopefully not. But Beauty and the Beast is like a great film at showcasing like inanimate objects coming to life essentially, or being the people being turned into those inanimate objects as a curse, and that like represents sort of not only their place in the household but also like their complicitness with treating people with disrespect. And it is very magical. Like things are dancing around, you have musical numbers with these like inanimate objects, and it's beautiful. And the romance is beautiful too, because it's like about somebody transforming and believing that somebody else can change, not just physically but in terms of like who they are as a person. And in that sense, like that's where I find the most magic in it. And like Chris said, sometimes movies are magic, and Beauty and the Beast is one of those movies where it's just like, wow, it not only is it about magic, it's magical, and like the way the story is told and the music like kind of lifts you off your feet.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, I can definitely see why you would pick this one, Brandon. I do think like is this Renaissance era? This falls under Renaissance era.
it was like the start of the Renaissance era. Like, it was technically like, you had Little Mermaid and the Rescuers Down Under, then this.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then I think it was like Aladdin stuff after that.
yeah, this is at least to me one of the better Disney princesses movies in my head. I really like this one. Yeah, I mean it's a classical story, you know, quite literally a tale as old as time. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. This movie, I remember watching it a lot as a kid and really enjoying it. I love like the juxtaposition between Beast and Gaston. I love like what Belle has to go through in this movie, and just seeing like how her like, you know, Brandon, in a weird way, it's kind of like a it's very much like we once said about 12 Angry Men. You know, it's a very much Check Your Prejudice movie. You know, you know, maybe in a more animated and, you know, fun sense like this, but like there's definitely something about this movie that does bring forward that magic that you look for, especially in a Disney movie. Yeah, I think this is one of the better Disney princess movies. Yeah, Ethan, I know you are a bit of a hard sell when it comes to princess movies, but what do you think of this one?
Ethan's a guy's guy when it comes to
Yeah, he's a man's man.
Listen, I just want to play my fucking football and wrestle. I don't want any of these dresses or any of this fucking singing and shit. You know me. No,
Well, you like Rocky, so I would assume that that's how you believe.
like this
Okay,
movie?
so here's how I've rated all the Disney princess movies on Letterboxd and how I really feel about them all. I have literally not watched these movies since I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. I had all the VHS tapes. I had them all. The FBI can raid my old childhood home. They'll find it in the drawers. I had them all, the Disney movies. I don't know why Trump is coming to this magic episode. I'm sorry, guys. I keep inviting him over.
He's magical.
You heard it here first, folks. I'm gonna clip that. Stacked MAGA 2024. No.
No way, man. No way.
No way. I'm not going in that scary castle, Beauty and the Beast. There's a talking candle in there. Anyways, sorry. I am drenched in sweat right now. I am delirious.
It is so hot right now. This is the
so
hottest our
hot in our
apartment has ever been. Oh
It's
my
the
god.
hottest.
Let's
I am
plow
like-
let's plow through this.
Let's plow through this. I rate most of the Disney princess films by remembering how much, like, either A, I remember them, and B, how much I enjoyed them as a kid. So this one I gave a 3. I usually put them at 3 where I'm like, okay, I don't remember hating them, but I don't remember absolutely loving them, and I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm just gonna go 3, you know? Just like that. So I think I will say the animation is very impressive for 1991. Are you kidding me? Isn't this the first film that started the implementation of 3D and 2D?
Well, yeah. So technically, they did in the previous 2 Renaissance movies, but it wasn't used to like full effect until like the ballroom sequence in this movie, or you could see, or like any of the like grander castle sequences in the movie. But this one, or like Little Mermaid technically was the first to use it, then Rescuers. But they only used it for like specific sequences, where I feel like this one utilized it much more. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way they walk into the ballroom and then them dancing
Beautiful.
and just like that's so impressive for the time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like it still looks amazing to this day. You know, that is
Timeless.
the beauty of 2D animation, is that it can just it'll always be timeless, you know? And the fact that it has 3D, cuz 3D animation, that does have wear and tear to it, you know? But the 3D still looks good in here, you know? Good cast of fun, crazy, zany characters, you know? Gaston, what a douche, you know?
I love that guy.
I don't like the remake at all. I don't like the live action remake. So that's why I'm a little trepidatious of revisiting the original, because the fans of the original do like the live action remake, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow,
Let's go
so
into the
much.
third round.
Final round.
Final round. I don't know why I get so melancholic and everything. Chris, let's take us into your last magic. This is your magic of cinema pick. Let's hear
Okay.
it.
So I had a lot of other ideas of how I wanted to approach this. I thought for a while I was thinking Science of Sleep. I was thinking Minari. I was thinking Tokyo Story for a long time. I actually changed my pick during this episode because I realized that Tokyo Story completely has no magic. But I thought about putting it in because it has that. Because like the big thing for me with this one is I wanted to talk about the whole. Do you guys ever like? Okay, this sounds very like corny, but do you guys ever like watch a movie and then you get that jolt of like energy and magic when you like connect to a movie so much? You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nope is the first one that comes from me. I am just
Right.
like I just feel so connected to that
You're
film.
just like
and just inspired.
Yeah, it's
Like,
that level
whoa,
of like
that is my
feeling so
shit.
enamored by something. You know what I mean? That like you just feel like almost like a spark inside of you to connect to this piece of art. And I thought about it, and like I decided not to go with that movie because not only can I save that for something else that might be more appropriate, but also I thought of another movie that I think might be even better for this stack. I'm picking a 2013 film directed by the stilted man himself, Ben Stiller. I'm picking The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Hey,
Okay.
there
Now,
we go.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. For anyone who doesn't know, because I know this isn't the world's most popular film, is a film following Walter Mitty, played by Ben Stiller, who is as Letterboxd describes him, a timid magazine photo manager who lives life vicariously through daydreams and embarks on a true life adventure when a negative goes missing. Now, this movie speaks very deeply to me when I first saw it, because this movie is all about like living in the moment, appreciating the little things, not getting so caught up in like all the hustle and bustle of work and everything like that. And I think for anyone who you guys have both seen this movie, right?
No.
No.
We've actually talked about this before on Stacked, and I still haven't seen it
Okay.
since. So
Brandon, you've seen this movie.
I believe so.
Yes. Well, Ethan, without giving away too much, there is a scene in this movie towards the end where Walter Mitty is confronted with an opportunity. Well, is confronted with the like a situation where he could pick up a camera and take a photo of something, but he decides to live in the moment. And that is something that really does resonate with me, and it's something that I've like experienced and struggled with before. And when I say like I wanted to pick this movie for emotional magic, is that I found a film in this movie I found an experience that really resonated with me and speaks to something that I can't quite put into words outside of what I just said. Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about the that spark that comes to you when you connect something to a movie. And also, yeah, this movie works for the stack as well because he does daydream a lot, and the film does blur lines between reality and fantasy. And I think that works really well for a magical movie because, in a weird way, magic is all in your head, Ethan. Remember, the grass is always green. The grass has always been this green. You know what I'm saying?
The grass has always been this green, dude. That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Walter Mitty. I am shocked by how you two love this film and admire it, because when I just remember watching it, I was like, or watching the trailers and stuff can come out and then nobody really talked about it afterwards. I thought it was like a Welcome to Marwin situation. Remember that movie? Robert
Yeah, it's like
Zemeckis and
it's
Steve
like
Carell?
yeah, it's like Welcome to Marwin or like Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's these weird movies where it's just like it seems very wholesome and stuff that just end up being very like lost in the lost in the theatrical releases.
I know why that is.
Lost in the sauce. Well, tell me, why is that? I'm so
Okay.
confused.
So these movies are all, I mean, especially this was a December release. I remember it coming out around Christmas time. All of these movies, whenever they're released in December, are always positioned as unless they're big blockbusters, as Oscar movies.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, like, the Academy deems what's like, not even critics, you know, like the Academy will deem what's worthy of or not of a nomination. And something like Walter Mitty, I feel like, is more of like a cult classic than it is a initial hit, because it was pretty much shunned from all the awards race stuff when it came down to it. Like, I don't think it got a single Oscar nomination. The critic reactions were kind of lukewarm, 50 to 60% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's definitely like a kinship between the viewers of this movie and like the movie itself. Like, it's very beautiful because you can find many different meanings from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could find it totally bland because the color palette, or like what story it's telling, because it isn't like, it's about the imagination as much it is about real modern life and how it is, you know. But there's something about this journey of self-discovery that Ben Stiller goes on that is quite beautiful and magical, like Chris says. And that scene near the end with I think it's a leopard,
like a snow leopard, something like that.
Yeah, it's great. It's pretty great. What? I need to rewatch it. I think I have this movie, but I haven't rewatched it in forever.
Well, let me watch it with you because I'd love to check it out. Well, that's a good pick. You know, sort of the magic of just realizing the world around you is already magical. You know, we get so caught up in escapism that we don't really focus on the magic that makes up our fucking planet. Fucking volcanoes. What the hell? How the hell does that happen? That's magic in its own. We got fucking indestructible liquid shooting out of the ground like fucking hot Cheetos. You know, like, what is going on there?
As Thor would say in the film Thor, this is science in your world. It's magic in ours. You know, it's like that.
Yeah. And you can just say it the other in the other way around. It's like, this is magic in your. I don't fucking know. All right. I'm just trying to be smart and I'm giving up because it's so hot.
Coward.
All right, let's go to my last film. Shut up. Hold on, let me put Walter and Mitty so I can keep track of all our films. Okay. I'm going with a film that came out this year. A film that really impressed me by its magical imagery. I think a sort of magic that has been sorely missed in this franchise so far, that when I finally saw it in this installment, I was impressed. And I'm going with Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. I'm going with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh,
Now,
wow. I didn't think you'd pick this, honestly.
I just, it was my first pick, actually, because I wanted to, when I thought of, for some reason, the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of magic was the music battle at the end of this film. That is the final battle that caps off this film. And in a franchise where we see magic as something that's more energy based,
Yeah, like throwing out energy,
dimensional
beams and
based,
stuff like that, you know.
Like that's how we saw it in the first Doctor Strange, where it's more like, you know, that those sparks that make up the sling ring, and Doctor Strange would like make like whips out of those sparks and like sort of shattered mirror dimension stuff. That's all we really got. But in here we have like actual spells, you know, like we see Doctor Strange summon creatures, you know, from his hands to fight people, like creatures from other dimensions, like dragons and stuff. We see him cast like magic saw blades, and of course the music battle, and we finally get more details on what witchcraft looks like in the MCU. We see it in WandaVision, but we see it more here with like things with the Darkhold and runes and incantations, and they make clear like they definite lines between like witchcraft and wizardry in the MCU, which I think is pretty cool because it's two different methods of tapping in to the multiverse to like create magic, like to do this. And I just thought, I don't know, there's more wacky stuff, and I think Sam Raimi completely handled it well with his I wouldn't say he's not a maximalist director like Baz Luhrmann, but in sort of, I think he goes to certain places like that with sort of a 90s sense of like 80s 90s metal sense of camera angles, you know, a lot of Evil Dead references, you know, having zombies come to life and harnessing demons, and like I love when they're explaining dream chasing. I think that's what it's called. You know, how Wanda's able to like tap into different selves throughout the multiverse, and there's like this weird like dream walking, and like there's like you see the candles and you see this cool montage that's very like Spider-Man 2-esque, you know. I just think it's a really fun film that sort of invigorated magic that the MCU was the magic that the MCU was sorely missing into more of its fantasy storytelling. And I think it's just one of the best examples of modern magic in Hollywood filmmaking, and I just wanted to shout it out here. So that's what I picked, fellas. I know Brandon's as big a film as this as me. Chris, what do you think about Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I really like Doctor Strange. I think it's actually one of the better entries into the MCU throughout Phase 4. Yeah, I mean, there's so much I can talk about with this movie. There's a lot that I love. Like you said, Ethan, I love the way they handled magic in this movie, whether that be Strange's or Wanda's, or you know, any of the other characters. I really like what they did with America Chavez. I think she's going to be a really fun character to go forward with. Yeah. Oh gosh, what else is there to talk about? There's just so much. I mean, Sam Raimi as a director, he's so much fun to watch. Just like go nuts in this movie. I do think Marvel did like restrain him a tiny bit, the tiniest bit, but I do think like you do get a very strong sense of Raimi in this movie, especially when it comes to horror elements or like that 90s cheese, you know. Can I rant about an MCU take that a lot of people seem to have about this movie that I'm furious about? Well, not furious, but like it drives me nuts. I kept seeing like people criticizing the movie for using those like, you know, like those scene transitions where like, you know, like the circle going through like onto the screen and then like the cross fading between characters and stuff, you know, it has that 90s energy to it. It drives me insane that I was seeing like these people that are so into the MCU complaining that like supposedly that immediately indicates that this movie is not good. They kept calling it like iMovie transition bullshit. And I'm like, dude, a movie finally has a little bit of like style and flair, you know? Like, but you're immediately just gonna shut it down because you immediately assume that that's ass because of that. I don't know. That really frustrates me. But I do think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is a very fun and refreshing movie for the MCU. Much needed, especially in. I remember we talked about that in our recent After Hours episode, where we felt that Phase 4 has been off to like a bit of a rocky start, to say the least. But yeah, I do like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's a really fun movie and a very necessary one for the MCU, and I'm glad they got to do something like this. And I hope they do more, even more outlandish stuff like this going forward. I think they can really do some fun stuff. Brandon, you're a fan of this movie too. What do you think?
I really like this movie. I liked it the first time, but I really liked it the second time. And though I have issues with, like, I think some of the acting was a little cheesy, campy. That played into Raimi's style a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't think the performances were super good. I think Benedict Cumberbatch probably gave one of his better performances that I've seen him give in his whole career, including his Oscar-nominated performances. Just because, like, there's a lot of face acting that goes on with him in these movies, and yes, you can mock his Christine.
Christine.
Yeah, but like, I think there's like genuine pain, like about him missing out on a girl that he loves and not even being able to live with that. That girl in an alternate universe where it never sort of works out for him. It's very sad and tragic. But like you
It
said, the
is.
magic, like much like the later Harry Potter movies, this does nothing but explore further the magic potential in the MCU or in any franchise, especially Doctor Strange, because it explores the rules. It explores like the different uses for it. Like you said, Ethan, like there's more than just the sling ring and like
Yeah.
transportation. There's different realms you go to. There's like magical books and witchcraft that you can look at. And sure, we don't know if any of that is like scientific, but like we discussed with like briefly with my mention of Thor, like magic and science are all the same thing if you think about it. Once you have a commonplace understanding, you know, that's what like a lower being would understand from a higher being and stuff. So, very good choice. I'm also irritated that people just take clips from movies and are like, this is how bad the movie is, even though it's like not giving any context. Especially with something as good as Doctor Strange, I think it's kind of valid with something like Jurassic World, where you could probably take bits and pieces of that movie, and that is the context you need. That's it. It's just bad. But yeah, very good choice.
Well, all right. I'm glad you guys are all on the same page. Let's get into our last film here. Brandon, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm picking a Matthew Vaughn movie
No way.
from 2007.
Hit me with it.
Nobody? No?
Hit me with it.
Oh,
Stardust?
Stardust.
Is it
Stardust?
I've never seen
I've never
I
seen
know
Stardust.
nothing
I
about
know
this
nothing about
movie.
Stardust.
The only thing I know is that Charlie Cox is in it. So please tell me about this movie. What is it?
This is a movie where it's a fantasy magical realm movie. So I wanted to do a magical adventure. I didn't want to just do a curse and a wish, you know, wishing spells and shit. Having something thrown upon something magically. I wanted somebody to like go out on an adventure to a magical realm, like Narnia, you know. But I'm not a big Narnia guy. Like I like the Narnia movies, but like they're fine. They're just allegories for the Bible, and it's kind of awkward.
It is, isn't it? You don't realize that shit when you're a kid, but then like we watched it, we're like, holy fuck.
Aslan's Jesus.
He's Jesus. All right. Cool.
And the other creatures are the Romans. But anyway, so this movie is basically about this father who is like living in this small British town in Great Britain, and he lives on this like on the side of a wall, and on the wall there is a guard, like a really old guard, and on the other side of the wall, people don't know this, it's like a gateway to a magical realm, like you step through the wardrobe in Narnia, you're in a different place, you know, even though it seemingly seems like it's just like a normal wall. And he meets somebody on the other side of that wall and sneaks past the guard one night, and he enters into this magical realm that is not human. And so it's like 17th or 18th century. So not quite Victorian, but like right after. And it's like a wonderful love story at first, and then it's only by happen chance that the father runs away or goes back to the human realm. And he spends the night with the lady, but he doesn't know that she's a princess, and that princess had a baby. And so they send that baby back to the human realm. And
God, this is a loaded movie.
it is loaded,
Yeah.
but this is just the first like 15 minutes. And basically that kid is raised to be Charlie Cox. He doesn't know he's part magical. He doesn't know he's part prince. And on his deathbed, the father of the girl who had sex with Charlie Cox's father in the movie is dying, and he's sending out his next throne to be one of his 3 male heirs. So he sends out a shooting star, and that it's a gem, and whoever finds it of the 3 sons gets to be the next ruler of this magical realm. And so Charlie Cox's character is in love with Claire Danes, who's just a normal girl in his village, and he promises he'll go to get her this gem because he sees it fall from the sky. And so it's like this fantastical journey of magic and discovering this new magical world, while also a tale of romance and whimsy and magic, because there are magical creatures. There are characters that are like more powerful than like typical like human being, even though they're like not magical in a sense. And it's just got a great cast. It's fantastic. It's fun. I really love this movie. It's got a great, like honestly, Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert De Niro, Ian McKellen, Peter O'Toole.
Wow, what the fuck?
Charlie Cox, Henry Cavill's in this, Ricky Gervais, Sienna Miller, Rupert Everett.
What?
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, wait, I have to ask, how does Matthew Vaughn's directing style how does it hold well in this world? Because like
it's
he has such like the guy's got such an energy to him.
It's definitely like a weirdly unique tone. It's not self-referential, but it doesn't bank on it like Kingsman and Kick-Ass sort of do. And it's weird because like there you can see like parts of him peeking out through this fantastical frame but it also feels like a Lord of the Rings movie a little bit, It doesn't feel as gritty or grimy, but it definitely has like the same magic to it. And it's a film that's always stuck with me, and I've always found to be like a joy to watch. I think I watched Kick-Ass first, and then I watched this. So I think his early work is far better than his more recent stuff that he's. Yeah, and it was one of his last film roles because he's old. He was an old bloke.
Henry Cavill's in this.
Yeah, Henry Cavill's in it as like a bit part. So it's like it's a terrific movie, guys. But it's also like you don't get to see these like big budget original adventures like this anymore that seem like they're young adult novels come to life. And I wish we did have them because this movie's amazing. So I hope you guys check it out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
How did he get this kind of film? This
right?
Was this his first feature?
I feel like it was. Let me double check, but okay, it was like technically his first like big budget feature because he did like 3 independent movies before this. Layer Cake, Snatch, and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Now, those are well-known movies, but they're indies. Like, there's nothing there that convinces you this guy should do a fantasy movie or like an action movie, because those aren't really. Well, Layer Cake is kind of an action movie, but the other 2 are very much not. So yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. How did he get a cast
like
that? Still,
directors will sometimes just like pop off with some random ass movie that doesn't seem to fit with the rest of their work, every now and then.
And why does nobody talk about this?
Yeah.
Why does nobody talk about this?
The cast is blowing my mind.
The movie's good too. Look at the critical ratings. I think it's got like around an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good. It's not the best of his work. Yeah, 77%, but it's honestly it is probably one of my favorites of his. I would say even better than probably better than Kingsman, but I like Kick-Ass more just because that movie's so fun. But yeah. I love this movie. You guys got to check it out.
Dude, I'm fucking sold. I need to see this.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I need to absolutely see this. All right, well, there we go. There are all of our films, all of our magical films that we talked about. So before we get to our final stack, let's run down our pecs. Yeah, let's run down our boom, boom, boom. Let's fucking talk about these films with our massive pecs. Let's run down these films with our each of our picks. Chris, you want to start off with your 3 films you talked about?
My films were Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Pan's Labyrinth, and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
My 3 films were Hexon, Witchcraft Through the Ages. No one ever calls it through its subtitle, so I just call it Hexon. Hexon, Howl's Moving Castle, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Brandon, what are yours?
Mine are Big, Beauty and the Beast, and Stardust.
Look at that. You did it in order. I'm so proud of you.
I have
Really?
a proposal.
You got a proposal?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I think these three cover all the bases and also give us the right amount of variety. I think Stardust, just because of that log line, sold me immediately.
Yeah.
The cast sold me immediately. I think Stardust is a great like straight fantasy pick. Well, maybe not completely straight, but like it is a fantasy pick. Second, I would love to throw in an animated film because I think animation is able to do something with magic that cannot be done in real life. So I would love to throw in Howl because I think that would be a fun one because I think Studio Ghibli is also just really good for this kind of stuff. Last one, I would love to throw in either Pan's Labyrinth or Walter Mitty because I like the magical realism of those two. And I think the magical realism of those films are distinct enough from each other because they handle it in different ways.
Let's do Pans.
I like those. I think I'm so impressed with Pan's Labyrinth and how it twists sort of our preconceived iconography of magic. I would love to include that on our stack.
Yeah.
You know? I think we do that. And then also I think, Howl's Moving Castle does something similar. And then just an amazing recommendation of Stardust, which seems also just pretty spectacular in how it conveys magic. I think that was my biggest sell of the night, So I would be down to have that, What do you guys think? Brandon?
Well, of course I agree.
Well, of course. You're Brandon Winchester, the movie aficionado. Of course you agree. You good with that, Chris?
Yeah, that sounds great. I like that.
All right. Let's figure out an order here. Should we I feel like Pan's Labyrinth would be a good start. I think because it sort of ushers the main character into this world of magic from a rather realist world.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a good introduction. I feel like it's just the stack already pitched. Then we go into Howl's Moving Castle with it a bit more. There's still some ground and stuff, but there's still a lot of magic. And then it just seems like Stardust is just like completely fantasy magic, and you're just fully brought into that world, What do you guys think of that order?
I dig it. Stardust is a sick ending too, so.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's
good
honestly
ending.
okay. So also he didn't do Snatch and Lockstock. I just wanted to mention that Guy Ritchie did those,
Did he
but
produce those?
he produced those. So
Okay.
but that's still impressive. The second film you ever make, you get all those people in your movie. Daniel Craig's the only one in Layer Cake that I know. I swear. But yeah, that's a solid list, I think.
Cool.
All right. Yeah.
Should we run it down?
Let's fucking run it down. Let's start with this is Stack's official movie magic final stack. Let's kick it off with Chris. You want to introduce us, our first film on the stack?
Yes. Our first film is a 2006 magical realism film directed by none other than the teddy bear director himself, Guillermo del Toro. It's Pan's Labyrinth, an incredible story taking place during the Spanish Civil War that meshes the dark realism and brutality of the time alongside this whimsical, magical world that del Toro concocts. Just an all-around pleasure of a movie. Just fantastic all around. You got to check it out.
And our next pick is Howl's Miyazaki, one of the masters of cinematic magic, is Howl's Moving Castle, a beautiful film about what it means to find that younger side in you and the wonderment, and this anti-war film with a twist of sort of how war abuses people of their skills by having a magical twist on it, by how showing off wizards and wizardry in warfare. Super cool, amazing film. Billy Crystal. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Brandon, wrap this up. Say the magic words, my friend.
And our last film.
Woo! Goosebumps. Goosebumps.
Matthew Vaughn's Stardust foray, his first foray into anything fantasy or action based, and one that covers more than just the magic of spells and potions, but the magic of realms and love. We love that, don't we, folks? We love love.
We love love.
All right.
We love
bam.
love. Love is everywhere. Love is every one of us. We love it. There's magic and love everywhere.
Love actually
Imagine if
is
he
all
said
that.
Yeah, so there is our episode of Stacked, episode 86, Magic Movies. If anybody didn't know, the last episode was actually recorded like 300 years ago, so we're actually getting back into this show format, and I hope you like it. Make sure to comment what are your picks and suggestions for future topics of the show. Let us know down below, and we shall catch you all on the next episode of Stacked.
Bibbidi
guys.
Bye,
bobbidi
everyone.
bibbidi bobbidi
Bye, buddy.
bibbidi bobbidi boop.
Bippity boppity boop.
Ah! My neck!